All right, we're here. We are, I don't even know what to say. I have been talking about this special guest, I don't know, since we started the podcast. It has been confirmed that I have a inappropriate crush on this guest. I just think that this person is the best. So without further ado, everyone, I am so excited to welcome Tiffany Carter. She is a wonderful human. She is kind. She is smart. She is funny. She's probably one of the most authentic people I know, which is why I think that I gravitate towards her. She is giving out so many nuggets of fantastic information to help you be a better business person, better salesperson, better person in general. Um, I am going to stop crushing all over Tiffany and I think just maybe introduce her. So, Tiffany, welcome.
I mean, listen, I'll take it. And just so that everyone else can have this song stuck in their
Oh,
head,
yeah.
because
What
I
is it?
just came from the grocery store. And there's either, here's my theory on the music in the grocery stores. It's either music from like bad breakup music from we were in high school or college that brings us back, or it's
Hmm.
some random song that we heard our parents play over and over again that we can't get out of our head. So here we go. I will
Well,
do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I would do anything for love. Meatloaf. I know exactly what you're talking about. And he gets all emotional, right?
But I won't do that. I'm like, is this a song of codependency?
I
I
love that
mean, it's kind of
song.
a boundary song. Like, I'll do everything, but not that. That's really the theme of
Mm,
my life.
uh, yes, and we're going to get to that because you are a very strong believer in boundaries, like I am. I'm a little lower than you. Did you notice that? I'm a little lower. I'm gonna fix this. But I can keep talking while I fix it.
Yeah, just
So
get closer to the
yeah, yeah, I getcha.
camera.
I
I'm pretty
gotcha.
close.
So Podsters, I tell this story in my confidence community that I was driving down the highway last summer and I was listening to a podcast and then this woman came on who was a special guest and she was dropping value nuggets left and right and I'm like I have to meet this person. I have to have this person in my life. So I binge watched like 200 episodes, no joke, 200, and made my way to Tiffany and said, "We need to work together. You need to teach me everything you know." And Tiffany helped me get my mojo back and for that I will be forever grateful. So she is here now with us to, like I said, just tell us everything she knows. She has committed. This is probably going to be like a 5 hour podcast. So you're probably going to want to come back to it. Maybe make some dinner, do whatever, come back again, whatever works for you. Maybe you just want to binge it, but that's cool. So, Tiff, tell us a little bit about your story and what your corporate story, and then how you decided enough is enough, and you followed your passion, if you will.
So I started out as a TV newscaster, which anyone familiar with that profession, almost no TV newscasters make money. It's like 0.0003%. So that was what I wanted to do. I have a passion for communicating, for teaching, for connecting with people, hearing about people's stories. But as you can imagine, that's a very stressful environment. And given that I already was raised in a highly toxic, dysfunctional, and abusive environment, um, it was not healthy for me. I was constantly on pins and needles, adrenaline going and take me hours after I got off the air to calm down. And I'm like, I can't do this. Either I'm going to be one of those people who ends up having a nervous breakdown on air, or I have to leave this business. And that's the first time I had to let go of something in order to best serve myself. And I wanted this job and this profession since I was 13 years old. I mean, I did everything to get it and I got it. And sometimes once we get there, it's not what we thought, or we're now in a different season of our lives and it's just not working in that type of way. So I went from being on air, the so to speak glamorous position, to picking up dog shit and cleaning dog piss on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City. No, I literally could not go. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I couldn't be in that environment anymore. So it's not like I left and like had
Had a plan,
a job somewhere
right?
else.
Right.
I mean, sometimes we're in that circumstance where we just have to leave. I did have a little bit saved, but not that much. And I really needed to regroup myself. I saw so many people going into the glamorous field of pharmaceuticals. They get a company car, expense account, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. All you salespeople who are listening get it. And I was like, coming from being broke, I was like, well, that looks pretty good. And I love health and I like
I
science
love
and all of
drugs.
that. I like drugs. I mean, I'm a pro prescription, pro soft pharmaceuticals, you know? So I was like, let's do this thing. Well, at that time, and it still is, very difficult industry to get into. I interviewed at 50 companies until Mother Merck hired me, which,
Oh, I never knew it was Merck.
yeah. And I say this part because I interviewed at 50 companies. Think
Wow.
about that, right?
Wow. Yep.
And I was supposed to end up at Merck because, number one, in my humble opinion, they're one of the most ethical pharma companies there are, and I've been in this industry a long time now. And they did intensive training at that time to where I had semi-private lessons from Tony Robbins. You know, like they brought in these speakers, you know, like Nancy, but then like paid to have me learn, you know, in my 20s from you and do sales role plays and all of this stuff. I mean, that's incredible when companies do that. Climbed that ladder, kept hitting a glass ceiling, you know, number one salesperson, number one sales trainer. Yeah, I got some, you know, promotions, did all of that stuff, but I was making tens of millions of dollars for these companies and getting a fraction. And there was only so high you can go. And this is not uncommon, as you know, in a lot of industries. So I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? And I had one of my longtime top, very prestigious doctors who is, you know, one of those rare doctors who's also a business person, which is there. And those are the ones who are really rich because it's so rare. You know, we were having lunch and he was just like, why don't you start your own business? And I was like, oh, hell no. Because my mom, I don't know if you know this, Nancy, but my mom was an entrepreneur. And so was my dad, but my primary parent I live with was my mom. My mom's a narcissist. She worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all she kept repeating was, "You never want to own a business. Employees are terrible." Da da da, you know, over and over and over. I mean, she made it sound miserable. Is the last thing that I would have ever wanted to do. And I was like, "Well, I don't think I can do that. It sounds horrible." He's like, "Well, you're already doing so much for free for all of these businesses and medical groups on the side to build rapport." Because that
Mm.
was my game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I got some good game. That was my game. Was I was indispensable and made myself personally of such value. Even when I climbed and I was like national sales director and all this stuff, I still went to those top accounts. And on the side, I helped them create marketing plans in order to bring in, you know, higher quality patients, cash patients, all of this kind of stuff. But
So,
I was
so
doing
can,
it for
can
free.
so what you were doing it because that would boost your sales, right?
I was doing it because it it would increase that rapport.
Right.
I was able to have access whenever I wanted in the office and be genuinely welcomed because I'm helping them make more money. And the more patients they have, the more drug
Yep.
that I was, you know,
Right.
pushing, so to
Yep.
speak, they were going to write because there's more patients to write it to. And I would also come up on the top of their mind in a positive way. And I wasn't breaking any like company rules by
Right.
doing that
No,
because I
you right.
wasn't taking
Right.
any money from them. And it never crossed my mind to take any money. I'm talking, I spent like 10, 15
Hours.
hours a week
Yeah.
on this
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
And so when
Yep.
this doctor said that to me, he's like, well, why don't you, you know, find out? Like ask one or two of them to pay you and start it like, you know, a side hustle basically. And I was like, oh, they're not going to pay me. He's like, well, there's only one way to find out. I was terrified. because I was like, well, if they say no, now I've made back to, you guys have to listen to this the incredible episode on my podcast where Nancy took me through her
Oh,
5 whys. I just listened to it again. But this, you'll get this from me right now. I was afraid those clients who I developed great rapport with, because back then there wasn't the Sunshine Act. I was
yeah.
taking them to sporting events,
Yeah.
golf
Everywhere.
clubs, tennis,
Mm,
spa, strip clubs.
right.
Vegas was one of my territories, just saying.
Wow.
Spearmint Rhino, shout out. Thank you. I was doing all of that. So these people become, that's why there were expense accounts like that, because they
Right.
do
Right.
become like friends. So I was afraid if I asked for them to pay me, not my company or whatever, that they were going to go like be offended. Oh, you never really cared about me or my
Yeah.
business. You were
Right.
just angling and had an agenda this whole time. And then I would not only lose that friendship, but I'd lose that business. And maybe they would call my, the president of the company. And then I would not have a job. And I like catastrophized the whole thing.
Right.
But what happened is when I finally grew a set of my own lady balls and asked, not only did people say yes, they even laughed and go, "We were waiting when you were going to
Right. We were
start
wondering why
charging
you
us
hadn't
for
asked
this."
us yet. Right.
And I was like, "Well, you could have and I get it. They're not going to bring it up, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
not going to have an employee, you're not going to have a boss or an owner of a company say to an employee
Right.
like, you haven't asked for a raise. You
Right.
should really ask for a
We think
raise.
we
Like
should
that's
give you
not
more
going to happen."
money. Right. Um,
Yeah, and so I started side hustling, and within 6 months I was matching my six-figure base salary, and then I gave my 2-week notice, and everyone thought I was a lunatic, because who would leave a prestigious career with a big title and an industry that's so hard to get out of, and the whole scam of the benefits, and we have the best benefits of any, and they did have amazing benefits, but like all
pales in
people
right.
was nuts. This
Right.
was not
Right.
cool to be
Right.
an
Oh. Yeah.
entrepreneur
Yeah.
15
Yeah.
years ago. You
Yeah.
were certifiably
Yep.
crazy, and even especially as a woman, you were like, you've lost it now.
So I want to pause. I want to put a pin in this because I have like 5 questions I want to ask you. So I want to go back for a minute. You you worked in the news. You were a newscaster, which is a highly toxic and chaotic environment. Do you think there was something that drew you to that environment?
Why I wanted to be in it is because what I thought, remember, I was 13 when I decided I'm doing this. I saw Deborah Norville, who's still the host of Inside Edition. She's lovely, by the way. I've met her several times. And she spoke at my middle school, and she captivated the crowd. I didn't care that she captivated the students. She captivated the adults and had their respect, and they
Mm,
listened. And I had no one listening to me in my childhood. No one listened. It
mm.
didn't matter. No one did anything. No one noticed I was being abused, nothing. And I went, I want to be a truth teller that people listen to.
Wow.
And that's where that came from. Of course, I had no knowledge of what like a newsroom is like on the
Right.
back end.
Right. Yep. So the reason why I'm asking this is because we've been talking a lot on the podcast about how you're raised, what you witness, what you experience, the good, the bad, all of it really, I mean, and I'm preaching to the choir, you know this, really, really impacts how you behave and who you choose in your life and who you choose not to have in your life. And it's just so interesting when you hear it come to life with someone else's story. You mentioned ethics, and one of the things I love about Tiffany, and there are many, is that Tiffany is very clear on her values. Ethics is important. Boundaries are important. Respect is important. So, can you tell us about, was it always that way? So, did you always know your values and were you always able to step into, this is who I am and this is what I'm no longer available for, as you like to say.
No, I was the exact opposite. I
Okay.
had zero self-worth because of being sexually abused from the ages of 11 to 21 years old, and no one did anything. I mean, I was pimped out to my mom's clients. I was taken to fancy dinners in downtown Chicago at 12 years old, being served alcohol with these people. I mean, no one did anything, which is just, I had clear braces. I mean, it was like, this is crazy. So I had zero self-worth. What I was taught basically from the womb is I am here to serve. And
Mm,
if you love somebody, you give them everything. That's what it means to, because that only served her, right? Like she taught me that. And so that's what I did. But I did know, and I don't know where this came from, it's probably a survival skill. I learned early on that I needed to fake confidence if I wanted to basically survive middle school, high school, the world. So I would mimic people who looked confident to me. So they spoke in like a solid tone of voice, probably how I'm speaking now. They weren't like mousy about it. They stood up straight. They raised their hands. They were one of the first people to raise their hands in class.
mm-hmm.
They made sure they spoke in class. They weren't like hiding to not go in the front and like do a math problem. So I mimicked that, and it was all fake. On the inside, I was terrified, ripped apart. I would have rather been hiding in a hole, but like I knew I just had to do that. And I did that a majority of my life.
Mm,
And it was exhausting. It was like putting on this costume. And I used to call it in corporate and even the beginning stages of that first business that I started, I'd call it the Tiffany show. Time for the Tiffany show. And I'd do the jazz hands, like the razzle dazzle, got to go do the show. I couldn't wait to get home from, doing these trainings to like tens of thousands of people. Or even if it was, I was in a room with like the mid and high level execs or a doctor dinner, whatever it was. I couldn't wait to get back in my car or get on that plane and like look like the Unabomber and put a hoodie over my
mm-hmm,
head and get
mm-hmm.
that makeup off, get the leg prison pantsuit off. And then what I would end up like hiding, really, I called it my cave, my townhouse I had in LA during that. It looked like a luxury cave. I kind of miss that place sometimes, but it wasn't really healthy. And I would hole out like that whole weekend to basically calibrate my nervous system from
Mm.
operating in this false self, this false confidence all the time. It's terrible, but I didn't know another way. And no one ever asked me how I was doing, by the way. And I know a lot of listeners can relate. No one ever asked me if I was okay or how I was doing because I always projected I was okay. People would say, I wish I was as confident as you. I wish I had my shit together like you. I wish I was well spoken like you. And every time they'd say those compliments, in my head, I'm going, if they only knew.
That's an interesting point because I believe that COVID and the quarantine kind of brought it down a little notch and highlighted the value of human connection. So to your point, and everybody's seen the meme, that woman that has it together, that the woman that's always happy and always outgoing or whatever. Ask her how she's doing because I guarantee she's not, right? So, and I think that COVID, for me, actually, anyway, it forced me to ask people, how are you doing? And to really care about the answer. Like, how are you?
Yeah,
It,
you've done that with me. And I felt it was totally sincere and appreciated.
mm,
You're really good at that, seriously.
oh, nice.
I was like, well, there's that.
Okay. Sorry. So, by the way, Podsters, I want to make sure we're clear that we're not taking anything Tiffany's saying lightly or frivolously. Both of us have a ZFG attitude around, you know what it is, and we only have a finite amount of energy, and we're going to spend that energy the way we want to spend it. So, Tiffany just shared a very serious story. Of course, we take it seriously. We choose, however, to crack ourselves up because that's how we live.
and I've done like 1,000 years of work on it. And
Right.
I like using humor to lighten
Mm,
things because everything's so heavy, and
right.
I don't want to take myself that seriously.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I don't care or respect or honor
Right.
myself or anyone
Right.
else. We all need more laughter.
We
There's
do.
enough hard shit in life.
Totally. I agree. Um, so what I'm trying to get under is what was the catalyst? Like I knew when my moment was when I said I am done. I knew exactly when the moment was. Most of you podsters have read the book. It was when I was being spoken over in that meeting for the third time. I've told the story 1,000 times. I went home that day and I said that I'm done. I'm done. I have to go help women speak up. I have to. So, was there a moment like I feel like you said, "Yeah, I was kind of doing my side hustle while I was still working in pharma." There had to have been a moment where you were like, "This is it."
I've had a couple moments, and some are more extreme than others on the corporate side. Because listen, I was scared to leave corporate because that's how you get programmed. This is safe. This is reliable. My ego liked it because I had the fancy title with the big company, and people's reactions are like, "Oh, you're a pharmaceutical exec." Like I liked all of that stuff and the perky perks, that came with it, and the travel and all of that stuff. But I remember I was going for a higher level position. So I had never seen a female, and I'm not saying they didn't exist. I just didn't come across a female that had any higher title than national sales director or national marketing director. I never saw a VP female. And I wanted that spot. And there was this, I mean, I'm not saying the company, so I'm going to call him what he was. He's a little dweeb, and I was going for the VP of sales position, which I was more than qualified for. And they flew me out. I realized within minutes of sitting there when he had his feet on the table talking to me. And I was like, oh my God. I
I can't do
realized
this.
very quickly they only had me fly in for optics to show that they were interviewing, they were considering women. And I know that this happens with people of color as well. And most of us, they think we don't know this shit. It was very obvious by his energy and demeanor. And it was very dismissive.
Hmm.
And I was just looking at it like, this guy is going to have the power over whether I up level my life and my bank account. I'm like, I don't want this. This is bullshit. And I took all that time. I had to fly cross country from Los Angeles for this. So I spent all my times just for optics, just for some BS. So that was when I was like, this, I'm out. Like, I'm doing this thing. Anything's better than this. Then I had to have a second total low point, because the pain is what propels us to take actions that we've been otherwise resisting. There's a purpose in pain and discomfort. And then there's this level of discomfort we're all in that's familiar, that we kind of put up with it. So we're settling with it. And then what happens is the universe, God, whatever you believe in, it'll whack your ass to wake you up. And I got whacked. And it was after I was already an entrepreneur, my first business. It was making 7 figures, but I was operating out of that false self, Tiffany. I was not operating out of ZFG Tiffany with, grounded true confidence. It was zero self-worth Tiffany, no boundaries, overworking for clients. I mean, out of control, like probably 12 hours, 6 days a week. I mean, it was insane. And my body gave out. My body just totally gave out, and I stopped producing the stress hormone cortisol, which you need to survive, by the way. You go into cardiac arrest. And I gained like 30 pounds in 30 days. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. I was so humbled.
Mm,
But that had to happen for me to go, oh my God, I'm killing myself with this workaholism. I'm actually killing myself. I can't run this company and operate this way anymore. And I had to install an entirely new operating system from scratch. And I would have never done it if I wasn't in that much pain to where my life depended on it.
Wow. Wow. You know, there's this expression out there, or the gist is the body will force you to slow down, or the body will tell you. And it's so true. It's so true.
I used
It's
to get sick. I guarantee there's at least 20 listeners right now. I used to get sick all the time to where every 5 weeks, a sinus infection, a
mm,
stomach bug,
mhm.
walking pneumonia, all the time. And then I created a story around it. Oh, I have a weak immune system because I wasn't breastfed. Like, where did I come up with that? Like, I
You
don't
read
even
it
think.
somewhere, right?
Yeah, I came up with that. And then remember, I was surrounded by doctors. Tons of my friends are doctors. None of them said to me, you know, this is not normal to get sick this often, but then what they said is you're always in and out of, doctors' offices, medical buildings, on airplanes all the time. So that's why. And I was always sick. But it's because I was constantly being depleted and the universe was trying to tell me, slow down, slow down, slow down. And it wasn't enough for me to listen. It had to be a complete wipeout where it
Mhm.
also took my brain functioning, where, it's like, it sounds bad and I'm not like wishing this on myself, but like I can almost handle if my body is sick, but you take that mental acuity away and that kind of sharpness and you get so foggy where you like can't even remember what you just
Scattered.
said.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is what scared me the most. I was like Googling early onset
Yep.
Alzheimer's. Like I was like,
Yep.
what is going on? And I had to take that business down to 10% of its revenue in order for me to recover and then reinstall that operating system. So I use the analogy of sometimes in life, and maybe more than once, you're going to have to pull back that arrow to shoot ahead. And it's
I love that.
terrifying. Where temporarily you're spending way more money than you're making. Temporarily, you're in a living situation that's terrible. Temporarily, you have no friends and almost no family because you had to cut out all the toxic people. It's all temporary, but
Mhm.
most people won't do the temporary discomfort in order to get what they're really wanting on the other side of it.
And yes, I totally agree. And that's the one thing that I really want to make sure everybody hears from you. Before I ask you this, when you say operating system, is this like a philosophical operating system, or is this like Windows? Like when you said you had to redo your whole operating system.
No, it is how I operated in terms of what types of clients I would
Mm,
work with, the boundaries with those clients, working less but more strategic, not just more is better. I was raised in
right.
that, in that generation too. It's like you show up more, you do more, you work more, success is hard work and the hustle. And I had to do the contrary action to all of that. And I didn't know it was going to work, by the way, because I didn't have any evidence. Everyone around me was operating this way.
Hmm.
And so I didn't really have any major evidence it was going to work for me, but I also was in a situation where my life depended on it and I didn't have a choice. But I promised myself, if this works, and you can really work this way with prioritizing your happiness, your wellness, your all of it, then I'm going to teach millions of other people how to do it and be the proof and the evidence for
Hmm.
them that I wish I had.
I love it. And you are. And that's what you're doing, which is amazing. It's amazing. As you were talking, I was thinking, so it's like the spinning, more calls, more calls, more calls to get more sales. That's not going to work. That it's not going to work. A, you're not going to be strategic. B, you're going to be tired. C, you're going to be burnt out, or you're going to be fake, and your clients are going to smell desperate. Your clients are going to smell it a mile away. The same thing with your business. And I find myself doing this, or I have found myself in the past doing this. I'm going to go do this. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, and you need to get quiet and think about I needed to get quiet and think about, how do I want to live? How do I want to live? Because I can do anything. What do I want to do? Do I want to be on a plane every week? Do I want to, be going here and there and there and there and make six times what I'm making? Or do I want to have a nice balance of this and this and this and this? And we've talked about it before. You and I have talked about it on the podcast. I don't think people understand they have a choice. I don't think they understand that they get to
It's like
choose.
this black and white thinking. It's either
Right.
success and like I'm sacrificing myself, my time with my family, da da da, to have this. Because so many people heard that in childhood, these money messages and all this stuff. Or it's the other of, I need to get early retirement so I can enjoy life. It's like, well, there's there's a whole middle ground and a spectrum. That's why with my clients, I always ask you guys first, I want to understand, take me through an ideal week for you, like a work week. Not like I won 100 million in the lotto and
Right.
I don't have to do
Right.
anything, but like an
Right.
ideal work week, truly, and without judgment, without, you saying, oh, this probably isn't possible. Just take me through it.
Yep.
Then we can reverse engineer our way there,
Yep.
because I promise you it's possible. It just doesn't feel that way now because it feels so far away because you've been operating this other way for so long.
Yes. Yes. So, Podsters, this is the vision exercise that we did a couple episodes ago. So, what I have people do, I think I might have told you about this. I have them draw. As a matter of fact, I think I have it
No,
right
I
here.
love any form of like
I need to send
art
you this. I'm going to send you
exercises.
this. So, I have them draw. I'm from New England. I can't say draw. Draw. I have them draw. The same thing happened last time. Draw out with little cartoons. They're 5 years from now. What does it look like? What do the cartoons look like? And I think you're going to do it. Are you doing it right now?
I mean, I am, but I'll stop if it
No, you
distracts
can do
me.
it.
Go ahead.
So it's, what are you doing? Who are you with? What's happening? What's the background? Like literally stick figures. And then you put some words to it. And then that's your 5 year plan. The reason why I know this works is because I found a very old journal. That's why I'm looking around for it. And in the journal, that was one of the exercises, draw, your goals. And no, I was looking at photos on my phone. And when I was looking at the photos on my phone, it was around the new year. I'm like, these are what I drew. These are what I drew a few years ago in this journal.
Oh, like your actual
Yes,
photos. So it's almost like you did a version of like a vision board and manifesting. Oh, how interesting.
unplanned, unplanned. And I did this in a presentation to a room full of women. You draw it. And yes, anyway, so that I don't, how do we even get on that? I don't remember. Oh, your vision. Um, and it's, how do you know how to get where you're going if you don't know where you want to go? So that's, I think for women, for men, for everybody, it's, forget about what you've been told and forget about what you think you should want. How do you want to live is really, I think, and you do that with your clients. So let's talk about your clients because I think I might have skipped over that. So tell the podsters who you work with, what you do, and some of your successes with your clients.
My specialty is teaching people how to monetize off their gifts and passions and package their intellectual property and make a crap ton of money doing it, whether that's online, offline, or a combination of both. So, like in Nancy's case, right? Like even more amazing speaking engagements, having even more people buy her book, work with her privately, join programs or even courses around her skill and knowledge set. So the online education and course industry, you guys, this is only growing. It's going to be growing to $350 billion, it's projected in Forbes. You can Google this. So if you're going, oh my God, I see so many people doing this. Yeah, they're doing a course for this. And now this person has a book and da 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 da. I'm too late. I'm too old. I should have done this sooner. No, now is the time. There's a hunger and a need for this. And it is the best and the fastest and the easiest way to get that financial freedom for yourself, because you don't have to anymore go do what I had to do in my first business, was fly all over the damn place, spend hours making a PowerPoint, not get paid for it, go present it, go network at conferences, and spend all of this time just to maybe land like 1 out of 10, pitches. It's like that was exhausting, and there's only so many people. Now you can have one video of you teaching something that could easily get thousands and thousands, if not millions of people, just from that one small thing that took you 10 minutes to record on your phone. So
Why do
that,
you
and
think
the other combo thing I do is the money mindset. We all have toxic money stuff, money trauma. And I always say you can't out strategize a broken mindset. So if we don't work on shifting that money mindset while we're focusing on bringing fresh cash into your business, you're going to subconsciously or consciously sabotage the strategy. It won't matter.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the reasons why I knew that I had to work with you immediately was you were talking on one of your podcasts about you wanted, somebody wanted to meet with you, and then if they decided to work with you, they wanted you to take the price of your 1 hour consulting call and put it towards a future program. Very, very common with coaches and people who do consulting work. Oh, let's talk. We'll do a discovery call. It'll be 30 minutes, but really it's 45, maybe even an hour. And yeah, and then I'll put that, if you buy with me, I'll put that towards your program. And I used to do that. I used to do 30-minute clarity calls. Somehow, out of my own grace, I shortened it to 15 minutes, and then I was talking to I was hearing Tiffany, and she's like, "No way, I'm not doing that. Why would I give away my time? No." And I was like, "Whoa!" I was blown away. I was blown away, and so the outcome was I took down my complimentary calls. I have not lost one client. It has freed up a ton of time for me. And I believe it. I believe I want to help people. There's a lot of ways I can help you. There's podcasts, there's the book, there's my email community, all that stuff. Like if you want one-on-one time, why would I give that away for free? So one of the things that you do so well is you value your expertise and you value your time. Why do you think it's so hard for women to do that?
I believe it's that we were taught and even modeled in society that if you really care about people, you're going to giveth for free. You're going to giveth of yourself. If you really care about women and success, you're going to help another woman out for free. That's what a nice person does. That's what a good person does, or even people who are religious, like a godly person does.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met one male, and I've met a lot of males and I've dated a lot of males, like a lot. I have a high sample rate. Okay. I have never met one, I know one billionaire. I know many multimillionaires. I had a long time executive coach that's worth $100 million. Never crosses their mind. Does not even cross their mind of, oh God, I should really help so-and-so out. Like she just lost her, 6-figure corporate job and she's trying to figure out what to do. Or, oh, they told me they can't afford it, or their husband won't let them pay this. So, well, I could, if I'm really a good person and I care, I'd discount my services. No, you're enabling people. That's enabling people. That what you want to do is people show up for themselves when they pay a proper amount of money. I'm not saying to rip people off, but that's what's going to make them show up. And you have to be honest with yourself about it. Think of all the things that are low cost or even free, that you might even have reoccurring payments on your credit card that you don't even bother to cancel because that's even too much effort. that doesn't get you to show up. But when you have real money on the line and you're putting real money, time, and energy towards the thing that you want, you're damn straight you're going to show up.
Yep. 100. Yep.
I've
100%.
never had anybody, and listen, I made these mistakes where I would take on clients. It was almost like a pro bono vibe, like, oh, it's a female starting a business. Oh, maybe I'll do it like for 50% less. This was with my other company, which is like an agency model. And these doctors will come to me and have all these student loans. Oh my God, I know I need you because otherwise my practice isn't going to grow, and we need a marketing and branding plan. But I'm, up to my neck in student loans. And I would be like, well, here's what you can do. And guess what? Those people never truly follow through with the
Nope.
strategy.
Nope.
They don't have enough skin in the game. And we just have to be honest with ourselves. When I don't have enough skin in the game, I half-ass it straight up.
I can't tell you how many free trainings are sitting on my computer. They were free. They're great training classes, and I didn't pay for them. I downloaded them, and I haven't looked at them. Because there's no like, oh, well, it's no problem. They'll always be there. The other thing that I started doing was seriously taking 20% of my time, 10 to 20% of my time, and allocating it for pro bono work for people, for underserved communities, right? You can't do what we do and not say, I'm not going to give it to someone for 50% off because they asked, whereas there's thousands of other people who truly cannot afford it. So that's, and I say that to people. I say I have a certain number of pro bono hours, and they go to people on need based. It's needs based, and that's
Here's
it.
the other thing, and you already said it. How I advise people, whether you want to be an author, speaker, some kind of a business, you are of service by all the free content you give
Right.
out. I give out, so do you, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of free content that if you genuinely sat there and listened to it and implemented it, you would make more than enough money to pay to work with me privately.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm saying be of service first. That doesn't mean you need to discount your services and be broke.
Right. Absolutely. I know that's what you meant. But
And I know it feels to people like it can feel when we set these kinds of monetary or even business boundaries, like you're being an uncaring, harsh bitch. And there's people that have not liked me setting this boundary, even though I do it like with love and kindness. And there's people in my personal life who don't like it. And that's not my problem. It is not my business how you react to a boundary that I have.
we're big on boundaries here at Unmute Yourself, the podcast. We did 2 episodes around Thanksgiving, one for home and one for work. So we have a few more minutes left. I want to get into a couple of more questions. So you, in my opinion, are truly authentic, unapologetically you. Now, that doesn't mean that you stomp all over people. It doesn't mean that you are a bitch. It doesn't, to me, you own who you are, the good, the bad, the flaws, everything. How did you get there?
I would say having this second business, Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and business coaching brand, really took me home to it. Like I was already working on it with doing inner child work, trauma healing work, all of that stuff. Like I'd been working on all of that. But I distinctly remember when I finally went to start this company and I was producing all of this content, like YouTube videos, like we were just talking about, like being of service. And I found myself exhausted and I didn't think it was fun. Well, why did I start this second business to be exhausted and not fun? I didn't need it in the first place.
Right.
So that's not working. And I was in my living room and I knew I needed to like do a video or something. and I had to go get ready for it. So back to the costume,
Right.
right? Tiffany has to put on makeup, and I'm not someone who wears, like, I don't wear makeup that often. So I have to wear makeup and I have to put on a cute outfit and I have to get in like Tiffany broadcaster mode. And I just said, you know what? Fuck this. This isn't fun. This makes me feel like I'm back in the newsroom and that I like have to be a certain way. And that's also, it felt out of integrity because that's not how things look behind the scenes here. So I started something called my bathrobe business sessions, and I started it that day. And I was like, you know what? And if this doesn't work, and if people think that I'm unprofessional, they're not going to hire me to speak anymore. They don't like that I swear. They don't respect me as an authority in this space because I'm not all polished. Then maybe this isn't the business for me. This isn't the industry for me. So it was an experiment, and within 3 weeks, my business grew 800% without me spending $1 on ads. It was truly from doing videos, and they're not cute. And if you guys are really bored, you can scroll way back on Instagram and you'll see these videos. Like, there weren't these fancy like filters. Like, they had filters in, but they were janky. I looked sometimes puffy. I mean, I looked in some of them, I was like, I probably should not post this. This is bad. But I did it anyway.
Yep.
And what psychologically happened when I take it through my own emotional based sales techniques that I teach, it made other women and men go, if she can do it, because she's a mess, I can too. Whereas the Tiffany you see on YouTube, and I keep all those videos up so you can see them, Newscaster Tiff, I created a separation for my ideal client going, well, of course she's successful. She's very polished and
Right.
she's super glamorous and blah, 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 blah. I didn't make $1 off those YouTube videos that I spent like something like $17,000 producing. Not one.
So I've seen those videos, or I saw one of them. I was building my YouTube channel. I was building my YouTube channel, and I'm like, okay, anything Tiffany did, I'm going to go do it now. And I'm like, I wanted to see how other people set theirs up. So I was looking at a bunch of different people just to see how it looked. And I came across yours, and I was like, wow, like it didn't sound like you, didn't look like you. I mean, it was you. And I was like, wow.
But it really wasn't me.
Right.
I know what you're saying. It's like that was the performative Tiffany. It's still me, but that's who I thought I had to present. Like, it was like job interview Tiffany, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who I thought I had to be for people to see my worthiness and trust me with their time, energy, and money, and to see that I know what I'm talking about. Cause like, who the hell's going to hire someone
Oh,
who's
yeah.
teaching them how to make money from the bathtub, which is what
Right.
I do now.
I know. I've seen those too. Yeah, right. They're perfect. They're perfect. I want to hire them. They're perfect. People don't want perfect. They don't want perfect because they're not perfect. Um, so I feel like I've been playing ping pong with you. Two more questions. So I listened to an old podcast of yours today, and you were talking about divine timing. And I think that our podsters would really appreciate your take on divine timing. Do you remember that
Mm.
episode?
I don't have to remember it to talk about it because I'm
Yeah.
really passionate about talking about this.
Great.
This
Great.
is what I say to clients, to myself, to people who work for me. When we start down this overwhelm, scarcity, anxiety path on what we're wanting seems so far away, whether it's personally or professionally. What am I going to do? I don't like where I'm at now. Nothing feels like it's working. I feel like I've tried all the things and it's not happening. And we got to go back to trusting and surrendering in divine timing. All you can do is the best that you can do on any given day. And you're the only one who can be honest about what that is. And as long as you're doing that and you're taking some scary actions and you're taking risk and you're putting yourself outside your comfort zone and you're hiring people to help you, we all know when we're doing the things, whether it's for like getting, our bodies back in shape or repairing a relationship or business, whatever. We all know. As long as you're doing that, the rest has to be surrendered to divine timing. As much as we want to control all the things and we want what we want and we want it now, of course, my ego does. Of course, once you decide to write the book, do the thing, quit the job, go for the promotion, we want that instant validation. Like, oh, here you go. Here it is. Well, the more we want that, the longer it's going to take for us to get it. The divine timing is basically having us increase our faith muscle and trusting that there is a time that this is supposed to happen for a specific reason that is unbeknownst to us, and we might never know.
Mm-hmm.
We might never find out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I make my money podcasting. There weren't podcasts when I was a newscaster. There were weird people doing ham radio, like the 90-year-old weird guy on the street doing that in their garage, right? Like this did not exist. I couldn't have planned this. And I could have said 4.5 years ago, oh, a lot of people have podcasts. And you might be saying that now. A lot of people have books. A lot of people are speaking. A lot of people. But there's a divine timing. If you're being pulled and you're being led and you have that desire on your heart and it's not gone away, it's still there, it's chewing at you. It's because you're supposed to do the thing and you're supposed to do it now.
That's it. We can't top that. How are we going to top that? That's it. That's it.
Boom, bang, done.
Boom, bang. So the podsters have heard me talk about you for, I don't know, 6 months. For those of you who might want to go binge all of Tiffany's podcasts like I did, it's Project Me with Tiffany Carter. You can get them anywhere you stream your podcasts. What else would you like our community to know about you?
Well, it depends when you're airing this episode. Do you have any
Oh,
idea when this is airing?
couple weeks probably
Okay.
in March.
So there's a couple. I have different ways that you can work with me. As we already talked about, like I do my highest level, of course, is like doing private coaching, which is what Nancy did. She doesn't mess around. She goes for the holy grail. But I also have a business coaching membership that's $100 a month. So you have that access point. And by the time this is airing, it should still be going on. My signature program, Selling with Soul. And this is where I teach you how to package and share your offers in a way that feels genuine and good to you. So this is also works for people who are sales professionals, where I take you through my emotional based sales techniques. You get my sales scripts that I refined over 15 years, all of that stuff. So go to my Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany, listen to the pod, and then you'll get all the links and all of that stuff there. But lean in, if you liked this style in our conversation, like just lean into it.
Tiffany checks all her own messages on Instagram. She answers all her own DMs. She's very accessible. So Podsters, we covered a lot. I got everything in that I wanted to get in, and I'm proud of myself because I did not think that was going to be possible. Tiffany, we love you. I love you. I am so grateful that you came on the show. You are our first guest.
Oh my gosh. I'm so honored.
The podsters know this. I'm like, we're not having guests on unless they are primo. And no one was worthy until Tiffany. So Tiffany, thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you.